Hello guys, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to create a drawer menu using Jetpack Compose. So without further ado, now here we can create a new composable file, which we are going to hold up the composables. And here we are going to call this components. So inside here now, we can try to call all of our components in order to get our drawer menu and can create a new composable. And this one we're going to call my drawer menu. And now here we can use our model drawer. And as you can see here, we have the drawer content where we have to pass in our contents. And inside here now we can pass a lambda function which you can easily use. So here we have the place for drawer content, and inside these two curly brushes here, we can try to pass in the content of the screen. So here we pass in only the model drawers, and also we have an optional way here to pass the state. And here we have a way which you can control this state here. Now, in order to control this state here, we can create a new variable. And we can use here a remember drawer state. And we have to pass in the initial value. And here we have the drawer value, and we can start because we are going to start to close, and this one is going to be logically because we want to start with the screen, which is not opening the drawer menu. And now we can try to put this on a separate line here. Now we can pass in here our state. Okay, now basically here we have to create a drawer menu, and the drawer menu contains a place where we have to show a header and a place where we have to show the content of the body of the screen. So we can create here a new composable which is going to hold up the contents of this drawer menu. Now let's create here a little room, and we can create a new composable, and then this one we are going to call the header. Now inside here we can try to create our header. Okay, now here first we have to pass in a default parameter, and here we are going to call this modifier. So basically here we're passing a modifier so that we can easily reuse it inside here. So for example, if we want, because this modifier is going to be scoped, and as you can see here, we have the scope, the column scoped. So we can just use the weight here in order, for example, to just align this and use it wherever we want. So for our case, we are going to pass in here a modifier, and this is the recommended way of using a modifier inside the composables. Now, after that, here we can create our column. So because we have our header here, it's going to be in a column format. And basically here we are going to pass in the vertical arrangement, and we're going to arrange this to the center. And also we have our horizontal arrangement. And also this one, we're going to align its center horizontally. And we can pass in here our modifier and assign this to a modifier which we have specified up there. Now here we can pass in the icon. So for example, here we are going to pass in the icon with image vector, and we can use the icons library here to get the icons, and we can get the, for example, here person and content description we can pass in here now. Now after that, here we can create a little bit of stressor. And for that case here, we can pass in a space of 4 dp. Now after that, there we can create a text, and here we can pass in a string, and we can call this my, and we can call this my account. So basically here we have finished to create our header. Now we can navigate back here to our drawer content, and we can pass in here our header. And here we can create a modifier. And we can pass in here of 16 dp. Now after that, here now we can create our body. Now we can navigate down here, and we can create here another composable. Okay, now inside here, the body, we want to create the way which we can navigate, for example, to other screens, because the model drawer is used for navigation. And for this case here, now we can create our classes here. So we can just navigate up here. First, we can collapse this and create a little room here. And For example, here we can create an enum class, and this class here we're going to call it, for example, items. And now inside here we can create parameters. So we have a label parameter, and this one is going to be of type string, and also we have the icon. For example, here to represent the icon of this navigation of this screen here. Now we can pass in here the image vector. Now here we can create several screens. So for example, we have our home screen, and here basically we can pass in the label. And also we can change this one to be favorite. Okay, now here we have our screens. Okay, now we can navigate here and come here to our body content. And here inside our body content, we have to pass in the icons. So we're going to pass in the icons, which we are going to use then. So here we're going to pass in the list of icons. And also here we want to react to the click so that we can reset or we can navigate. So we can call this on click. And basically here we can pass in the items. So that we can use it later. Now, after that, here now we can create a column in order to structure here our code. And here basically we can pass in the modifier. And here we can pass in the modifier for HDP. Now, inside here we can use our items, and we can use the for each action here. And basically here we can use a row, and here we can pass in the modifier. Now we want to react here when the modifier has been clicked, so we can pass in the onClick item here, and we can invoke this callback, and we can pass in here the item which here is going to be referenced by it. Now we have here our scope, and here we can pass in the icons. And here basically we have to add the val keyword because we had forgotten, so we cannot reference it. So here we can pass in the icon, which we have passed. And here in the content description, we can pass this to be now. Now we can create a little bit of a spacer here, and here we can pass in a spacer of 8 dp. Now after that, here now we can create a text. And here we can pass in the label which we have created. Now we can create a little bit of a space here between the items which are going to be created, and here our size is going to be 8 dp. Now for that case here we have our body. Now we can navigate there inside, and so below the header here now we can pass in our body. Now for the case here of the body, we can use the items which are going to be clicked here, and we can we can convert these to values. So we are going to convert this, and we can make it to list. And basically this on click the item, so we can pass it as a lambda function, so we can reuse it here by using a when statement and react differently. So we are going to pass in here a when statement, and we are going to pass it here. Okay, now we have to create other states which we're going to use them. So for example, here we want to create a scope which are going to change the states. Because this one is going to be launched inside the curative, so we have to get the scope. And here we can call it remember curative scope. And basically here we're getting the scope, and also we can pass in here a text. And we can use a by keyword here. So here we have a mutable state of string, which you're going to display it inside our, and we can change this to be a val keyword, for example. So we're going to use this text here and change it inside our main screen, and we can pass in here the text and we can reinitialize this. So here we have several states. So for example here, okay, so basically here we're going to reassign this text to what has been selected, and we can show it inside our main screen. And for that case here, now we can use the scope here, and basically here we can use the scope, and we can call the draw, and we can launch the scope. And basically here we are going to close our state. Now let's jump inside here. So now we have here our place to pass in the contents, because this one is going to be our model drawer. So we can try to collapse this, for example. So inside here now we can pass in the body. Okay, now here we can pass in a column. And here inside the column we can pass in the modifier. And we can fill the max size. And we can make this fill horizontally. And also we can pass in the vertical arrangement. And also we can center this to the center. Now here we can pass in a button. And here now we can use the cut. So basically here we are using the state, and we want to trigger the opening of this state. And here now basically we can pass in a text. And here we can create another text, which we are going to reassign this to what has been selected there, and we can pass in here our text. Now, basically here we have finished to create our drawer. Now, as you have seen here, we have used just this model drawer, and let's jump here inside our main activity, and inside here now we can call our my drawer menu. Now let's try and run our application and see the output. Okay, now the app is launched here, and we can try now to click this button here. And as you can see, it's going to bring up the model drawer. And here we have our header. So for example, you can change this to another background or anything which you want. And here basically we have our buttons, and we can click here, for example, and this one is going to initialize this value and pass in here home. And also you can click again here and we can open. So here we can navigate to another screen. So if you want to know how you can easily use the navigation, yes, drop a comment down below and I will create a video where you can easily navigate from when you click this, and you can hook up the navigation and now let you navigate to other screens. So for now, let's leave it here. See you in the next video.